I'm Kyle Olson, founder of the Midwesterner. I'm at Marlena's Bistro in Holland, Michigan, where I'm meeting with statewide candidates and others asking for your vote in 2026. So come join us.
Marlena Hackney left communist Poland in the 1980s for a life in America. She opened Marlena's Bistro in Holland. When Gretchen Whitmer began issuing lockdown orders in 2020, Marlena refused to close. She was arrested and jailed for trying to keep her business afloat. That didn't stop her. She's still serving the Holland community every day. My guest today is John James. He graduated from West Point in 2004 and served multiple tours in Operation Iraqi Freedom as a helicopter pilot. He's currently serving his second term in the U.S. House. He was twice the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate and is now running for governor, making parents' rights central to his campaign.
Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
So you're running for governor.
Yes.
Why did you decide to run for governor?
I'm running for governor because I have 3 little boys. John is 12, Hudson's 11, Christian is 7. And when I think about how I got here, the great blessings that I know I have an obligation to be a blessing to others. My family came up from the Jim Crow South for better opportunity. And when I talked to my father, who's watched his uncles be lynched, who came through 1971 and started a trucking company, 1 truck, 1 trailer, no excuses. And now he's looking at his grandchildren who within 1 generation may have to pursue opportunity outside of the state of Michigan. It seems like a betrayal of the promises that we were told about what was possible in this state. As a result of having the opportunity to go to West Point, become a Ranger qualified Apache pilot and fly 750 hours combat in Operation Iraqi Freedom, I understand what it takes to bring people together to accomplish tough and dangerous missions. Coming back and growing my family business from what it was to what it is today, I understand what it takes to sign the front and the back of a check to wrestle with the bureaucracy and the overreach in the Lansing government, and to create and grow jobs in the state of Michigan before you become a CEO of a state. Maybe helping to grow a business is something that you should probably have experience with. And then making sure that we're doing things to deliver on the promises that we made to people. Actually being in a position to cut people's taxes, to deliver funds for people in the state of Michigan, and make sure you represent and keep your promises. Those are all things that I can bring, but most importantly, as an outsider to Lansing, bringing a skeptical but optimistic eye for what's possible. When you have people with the right motivations and the experience to actually not rearrange the deck chairs, but just clear the entire ship and bring back local control and really focus on the things that people need. So I'm doing this for my kids, and I'm doing this for yours, and I'm doing this for the future of our state. I'm excited for what the future holds.
So there was a moment last year at the White House where the president didn't seem overly thrilled, let's just say. And so what do you say to those Trump supporters who say John James is a great advocate for President Trump's policies in the House, and he should run for re-election?
Man, what a great question. A lot of people have it on their minds. And I'd say, number one, I'll take the compliment. When people say that you're doing a good job at the job you have, that's a compliment. I would say that yes, we have delivered $118 million back to the state of Michigan. Yes, we actually have delivered the working family tax cuts, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, protecting our seniors. Yes, my very first bill that I proposed was protecting Medicare and Social Security. Yes, we did protect Medicaid for those who desperately need it the most and push back on fraud. These are all things that we've been able to deliver in a very short period of time. But I will also remind folks that I supported the president back in 2017, and I was among the very first to support him for this other race, his most recent race in the summer of 2023. President Trump has also endorsed me in all of my races, and he's been very supportive. We're friends. And to that end, President Trump recently joked about Caroline Leavitt, that he might fire her. And he also joked about firing Marco Rubio. The president is a lighthearted guy. The president likes humor, and anybody who would twist the president's sense of humor, I think is wrong. And I think that most people see through that.
Have you talked to him about endorsing you in the primary?
Of course, I would welcome the president's endorsement, but in addition to doing the job that I have well, I'm getting out around the state. I've been in the race for about a year now, and we've had over 130 events. I think this is the 10th county I've been in the past 10 days, in addition to also being a dad and making sure we're prepared to move the president's agenda forward when we get back to D.C. So yes, I've spoken with the president. I welcome his endorsement, but right now the focus on getting out and talking to folks around the state of Michigan.
Are you concerned that Republicans could lose the House majority this fall?
I am. It's going to take it's going to take all of us, which is the reason why we're really focused on keeping things positive. And that doesn't mean having a rosy outlook on life. It does mean having optimism. But when I say keep things positive, we are focused on attacking the issues. We are focused on attacking the problems and not attacking other Republicans. Because what we cannot have is when I win the primary, now we have a base that is so angry and so turned off that we don't show up to the polls in the general. Now we have somebody who doesn't have the resources to stand up against the lies that the Democrats are putting out there. And then we don't have somebody who's in the position. Right now, again, I'm the only one in this race who's winning the primary by double digits and have for the better part of the past year, and the only one shown to beat both Jocelyn Benson by 3.5 in terms of public polling and Mike Duggan by 16. Having somebody who gets into that race with the ability to win the general is exactly how we move conservative policies forward and save our state and save our republic. And it's also important for the down ballot races. The reason why that's so important, we've seen in Pennsylvania and Arizona that tops of tickets that can't win or lose by double digits end up dragging down ballot races. We need to make sure Mike Rogers wins. We need to make sure that the 4 congressional seats that we have in play, that they win. We need to make sure our AG and Secretary of State win. We need to get our state legislature back. And the best way to do that is making sure we're fighting as a team to make sure that we save our state. And so that's what I'm really focused on, doing things that will help the party win, getting our message out there, and leading strong positively for the future.
You've made parents' rights a central issue for your
Yes.
campaign. President Trump has issued executive orders related to DEI and boys and girls bathrooms, etc. What more do you think you could do as governor?
Well, parental rights, first of all, clearly communicating that we're going to change the culture in the state of Michigan. Number one, as far as kids and parents are concerned, the Lord God, the first relationship He created was between Himself and man. The second was between man and a woman. And the third were between parents and their children. A government should be protecting those rights, not infringing upon them. And so as governor, I'm going to protect the parent's right to their child, and I'm going to protect a child's innocence. Number one, as far as it comes with parental rights and schools and everything, a kid cannot consent. Number two, parents have a right to know. And three, if you can't do it without consent between 2 adults at work, then why is it all of a sudden okay for an adult to do it with a kid at school? It's wrong. And so making sure that we're able to protect parental rights, protect children's innocence, and go back to common sense are the things we're doing. So we're going to be doing that in healthcare. We're going to be doing that in education. We're going to be bringing transparency, protecting from family integrity, and making sure there are enforcement mechanisms. Because if people violate this, then that's tantamount to predation, and that's not going to fly when I'm governor.
When do you think that erosion of parents' rights started?
I think the erosion of parents' rights started a long, long time ago when the communists began taking over our education system. They fundamentally believe that that a parent's right to their child is wrong. That is completely the opposite of what we know is common sense. We need to make sure that we continue to stand up for parental rights and that we call this out and that we're getting the leadership from the top, that they will have support, parents will have support. Again, I have 3 school-age children, and when my wife last year called to make an appointment for my son, we learned that she no longer has access to
Yeah.
my son's medical records.
It's a problem.
And so it is a problem. And this is something that as a father, it makes me extremely angry. And when we point to issues like that monster Larry Nassar from a few years ago, like we are setting our children up to fall to predators when we insulate parents from their children, when we allow strangers to make medical decisions for our kids, when we allow strangers to be the final say, which is why for a lot of these controversial courses, let's just say sex ed in school, that's fine. We had those when we were growing up, but there was an opt-in, not an opt-out. Parents had the final say in how they would raise their children. Parents would have the control of education. And just letting people know in the bureaucracy in Lansing and throughout the state that the governor's going to have the backs of parents, every parent, that's going to be critically important for how we move the state forward and protect their rights.
Data centers have
Yeah.
become a big issue. Do you support, or what do you think about the law as it is now, or what do you think needs to be done about this surge of data center projects?
Yeah, great question. Number one, non-negotiable, local control. Local control cannot be infringed on. We have the right to determine what goes on in our communities and our neighborhoods. Number two, before anybody talks about putting a data center on farmland, which is ridiculous, you need to show me where you've gone to those brownfields, those blighted areas first. Number three, under no circumstances should you be raising my electric or utility rates as a result of this. When you come in there and you pitch the locals to be able to make the final decision and not imposed by outside sources or Lansing, then you need to show me how you're either going to lower my electricity rates or how you're going to leave them level. By repealing Gretchen Whitmer's Green New Deal scam as the governor, we're going to be lowering electricity rates to begin with, but these new companies that are coming in cannot raise them at all, and they should be partners in lowering. And also, finally, don't threaten our water. We need to make sure that our water is not put at risk as a result of these data centers coming in. So, yes, we need to diversify our economy. Yes, we have the ability to do new and methods of growth. Michigan is not afraid of the future, but we demand to be a part of it. We are open for business, but we are not for sale.
You mentioned the green energy mandates passed by Governor Whitmer and the Democrats. We see that playing out. A real world example of that is in Zeeland Township, which is very close to here. The local residents are fighting a 1,900 acre solar power plant built by a German company. And the way the law is right now, the German company can go to Lansing and get Gretchen Whitmer's appointees to approve it and just give the middle finger to the local residents. What do you say about that, and what would you do about that?
That's wrong. Gretchen's direction on that needs to be repealed, and I'm looking forward to working with the legislature to do exactly that as soon as I get to as soon as I get to Lansing. I am also see the amazing opportunity that we have by making sure that we have all of the above energy strategy and all of the above energy approach right here in Michigan. But because of Gretchen Whitmer's wrong-headed Marxist policies, she's forcing us to wind into solar panels. She can't fix our damn roads, but she sure can pave over our green farmland with solar panels very effectively. That's got to stop.
What are they thinking?
They're not. And part of me thinks that they want to get rid of conservatives. Part of me thinks that because they're not doing any of this in their strongholds. I mean, part of me thinks that this is essentially an attack on our way of life, on conservative way of life. I think that they have their ideas that they generated in their ivory towers and their universities on the coast, and they're going to impose that on us. Well, no. I became an Apache pilot because I believe in standing up for people who can't stand for themselves, fighting for those who can't fight for themselves, and speaking for those who can't speak for themselves. And people who are out there trying to make a living deserve to have leadership who will stand up for them, who will defer to them, and who will support those decisions. And under no circumstances should we have a governor like Gretchen Whitmer who will sell out the people of the state of Michigan for foreign companies who want to pave our farmland with solar panels. The technology, even if it was ready, it is a terrible use of the resources that we have. So those groups of rules that are making our energy less reliable and making the prices go up. Consumers and DTE both went to MPSC for rate increases. Meanwhile, Democrats want to attack the president for affordability. They're the ones that caused this affordability crisis in the first place. And so lowering our energy costs by repealing Gretchen Whitmer's Green New Deal mandates and making sure that we protect our way of life in our farmland is going to be among the top priorities that I have when I get to Lansing.
So Hillary Skolton, your colleague who represents the Grand Rapids area, she recently announced that she's getting divorced. And I've talked to other members of Congress who say, you know, it's a stressful job. You're gone from your family. How do you, just talk a little bit about how you balance that, and how do you keep your family together and make sure you've got that balance between a very demanding job and your family?
I pray, and I'm just going to be honest, maybe a little bit vulnerable with you. The most important job I feel like I have is to be a follower of Christ, followed by a good husband, followed very closely by being a good father. And if I ask myself if I'm doing those things in the right order, sometimes I say that I could be a better Christian. I could be somebody who puts the family first more often. I've tried to do that, but being on the road all the time is stressful. My kids didn't ask for this. Being in DC and supporting the president's agenda moving forward is tough, but I have a very supportive family, and it really helps to have family who is there with me, who encourages me. A wife who's been in my corner. I couldn't do anything without the grace of God and a very supportive wife. But I would just say that yes, it is tough, but Michigan is worth it. We are all here because somebody sacrificed for us. Somebody did tough things for us. I have a father who I watch leave every single day to slay dragons to provide a better life for me. And so now it's my turn. Now it's my turn to maybe saddle up a little bit of that dad guilt and make some sacrifices for my children, because I want them to be able to live, grow, and stay in Michigan. And so now is my turn to serve and sacrifice. And even though I do my very best to make the birthdays, even though I do my very best to make the anniversaries, my family knows that Daddy is out there doing things so that everybody around Michigan can have a better life. And I'm doing that because somebody did it for me, and hopefully somebody in the future will do that for my grandkids.
There's been a lot of talk of income taxes, property taxes. You have a plan coming out. Talk about where you stand on income tax reform, property tax reform.
Yeah, we have to eliminate the income tax. Full stop. When you look at the states that are growing, and growing the fastest are the ones that have the lowest tax rates, and the states that are shrinking, namely Michigan, are the ones that have the higher tax rates. We talk about competing with Mexico and China. We can barely compete with Ohio and Indiana. We need to have a more competitive business environment, and cutting the income tax rate is the first step, I believe, in making sure that we have a more competitive environment where we are able to give people essentially a pay raise each and every single year. And I'm developing a plan that's based upon reality and not political gimmicks. I've talked to Republican leadership. I've talked to the House Oversight Committee, and I'm also looking at the Auditor General reports that Gretchen Whitmer so conveniently decided to defund by $8.3 million as she's perpetrating one of the most corrupt administrations in Michigan's history. Looking at all of these, and we've found billions of dollars that we will be able to give to people in the state of Michigan year one, and this is going to be able to put money back in every single tax-paying Michigander's pocket, and also be able to address some of the labor shortages we have to make sure that we can employ American workers and prepare Americans to take these jobs that we have, to address some of the affordability issues and some of the disparities that have been created by this administration.
So anytime someone wants to cut the income tax or cut the property tax, the attack is you want to cut teachers, you want to cut
That's right.
police and fire, you know, all of the horrible things. What's your response to that?
It's fear-mongering from Democrats. The $3.5 billion that we've found is just the initial. It's just the start. It's just what we're going to be able to return to folks in the very first year.
So 3.5 billion. 3.5
billion is the start. But we are going to be more aggressive because this isn't the government's money. It's the people's money. We can look at other areas, and we plan on doing that. Gretchen Whitmer is spending $20 billion per year more than she spent during the height of the pandemic. And she's asking for 50% more than she got when she first got into office. Now, if you contrast that with what Nick Shirley was able to find in Minnesota, in a state with 50% of our population and 60% of our budget, he found $9 billion. You don't think that once we get the keys and we look under the hood, we're not going to find more fraud, waste, and abuse? We'll absolutely find more fraud, waste, and abuse, and we're going to give the people their money back because that is where it belongs in the first place. And the added benefit of that is you're taking care of the people, yes, but then what's that going to do? It's going to make Michigan more attractive for people to come and to stay. We're talking about taking care of seniors. We're talking about attracting young people. We're talking about population growth. All of these things can be achieved when you treat your money and your talent with respect. And right now in Michigan, money and talent aren't treated with respect. Treated with disrespect, and people are voting with their feet. We are the second slowest out of 50. The only state that's growing slower than us is West Virginia. Right? And so we must do better, and I believe the first step toward an economic agenda that will help our state grow and help everyone prosper is cutting the income tax.
Thank you.
Of course.
Good to see you.
See you.